When you dare to share, you break the silence. When you dare to share, you speak your truth. When you dare to share, you use the full strength of your voice. When you dare to share, it brings opportunity to own your story. So tell it, be heard, and at the same time, your sharing is someone else's learning, inspiration, motivation, empowerment, and hope. There's always an element to each of our stories that remains a secret. For some, we feel it's a dirty little secret. Dare to share your untold story exposes these secrets in a welcoming and positive way. I encourage each of you out there to dare yourself to share what is yours to tell. When we dare, it is the courage to do something really important. Let this be a vow to each and every single one of us that we take risk, we brave, confront, and face what is, while inspiring and empowering all communities. So let's break that silence and tap into mental beauty. This is Salima Jadavji, your podcast host, a practicing clinical social worker, and your mental wellness connoisseur. Welcome to the Dare to Share Your Untold Story podcast, episode number 31, Who She Was and Who She Became, Shifting Challenge into Grains of Beauty. To all my fellow listeners, before we get started, I'm just dropping in a note to give you a heads up that this podcast might be emotionally triggering for you. We do invite guests onto the show who share openly about extremely difficult life moments with exposure and impact of what the struggles have been like. The intensity of each episode could have a variable impact on your emotional and mental well-being based on your own personal story. If at any point the topic becomes uncomfortable or upsetting to you in any way, please do not pressure yourself to listen. Instead, be kind to yourself, do some self-care, and perhaps give another episode a try. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing our wonderful and daring guest, Svetlana Ratnikova. Svetlana was born in Moscow, Russia, and immigrated to Canada in 1994. She commenced her leadership journey at the tender age of 20 when she became one of the first female entrepreneurs in Moscow. In Canada, her career path journeyed through a major market research firm working with some of the largest companies in the world as clients. She became a headhunter for pharmaceutical companies. In 2001, she launched Terra Naturals Incorporated with the mission to improve lives with natural, petroleum-free body care products. Over the years, she has proven her ability to combine innovative concepting and deep understanding of global consumer insight, allowing the vision to be carried from idea to execution. Svetlana is a collaborative, insightful, and innovative creative strategist. She is a motivator, communicator, relationship builder, and developer of top talent. She supports entrepreneurs of small to medium-sized businesses, leaders, and professionals to achieve their aspirations and bring their dreams to life. She enjoys working directly with young people to help them explore enterprise as viable and sustainable paths to secure their socioeconomic futures. Well, hello there, Svetlana. Welcome to the Dare to Share Your Untold Story podcast.
Hello, Salima. Thank you for having me at the show. Wow, all this beautiful bio. It's all true. Yes,
It's
indeed,
all
you're
true.
right.
Well, welcome. It's just so good to have you on the show. I'm really thrilled to have you here today for me to have this chance to chat with you. I'm really thankful that you bring this wonderful energy, and not just energy that you bring willingness to share. And by doing so, your support for taking a stance with me to help break barriers of mental stigma, it means so much. Thank you.
And thank you, Salima. I mean, the power of storytelling. I understand the importance of that for people, for the community. At the end of the day, we all hear people to do good to other people. So anything to support and inspire and uplift other people, it's my great pleasure. And thank you for your leadership in the space to support initiatives related to mental health.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for those words. And yeah, this podcast, it's really like we've discussed before. It's about bringing forward untold stories that people go through, whether it's directly about a mental health struggle or it's something else. And something that we know is that no matter what the person's story is about, whether it's about mental health or not, there is impact to one's mental health in some way, which gets tucked away. And for some people who deal with whatever the issue may be, even if it's not mental health related, that's the mental health component that doesn't get spoken about usually. That's the typical piece to shy away and keep away from the public eye. And if a person's struggling with mental health, then there's many parts of their story that doesn't get told. So this platform that I've created here, I'm hoping, it's my aim and it's my hope and passion for it to serve as a way, a starting point to break barriers of mental stigma as it has been conditioned in our society. So I hope today in our conversation, we can continue to encourage people to share and tell what they might be, a bit timid to come forward and express. And so I'm bringing forward this trend called the mental beauty rethink. Svetlana, what are your thoughts about the mental beauty rethink?
Mental beauty rethink.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a positive spin on mental health. I think it's exactly what we always lead with in the business world as a problem solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the challenge, we always want to find the solution and positive outlook.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's beautiful, and I think it means a lot to the world today.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly it. When you hear the words mental health, I know that people's reactions are not the same as when you say physical health. So, physical health, it just seems really neutral. And you say mental health, and it's like, ooh. So, I think that's kind of the crux behind why I sort of reframed it as mental beauty, just all parts of beauty, all parts of health and wellness. So, I am all ready with my daring questions for you. Are you ready to get started with me?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Just what I was hoping to hear. Okay, Svetlana, give us the newspaper headline of how you would title your untold story. How would it read?
See the opportunity of growth and prosperity in each and every challenge you face.
See the opportunity in growth and prosperity in each and every challenge you face. Wow. Okay, tell me about this title.
That's what that's what that's what came to my mind. I believe that world is full of challenges. Life is full of challenges, and that's a beauty
Mhm,
of that. We can call it a problem. I learned it from my mentors, from my beautiful friends who taught me to look at challenges as a problem as challenges, and each and every challenge as an opportunity to learn something and to grow. And we all know that. I mean, growing
mhm,
and learning every day,
mhm,
it's the foundation of happy mind and feeling happy.
mhm.
Surrounding yourself with positive minded people along with that will help us to feel happy and accomplish great results, not only for ourselves but for other people around us.
Right. That's awesome. Okay. So let's get right in to have that deep dive. Let's uncover your untold story. Tell me the who's, the what's, the when's, the where's. I want to hear it.
Salim, see, nobody ever asked me that story. I come out so tough, and people that look at me, I am so resourceful simply because I know a lot of people. I'm not smarter than anybody else. I simply believe in building relationship with people, and the life is about the people who you surround yourself with.
Hmm.
Really,
Hmm.
this is my key to success. It's really not about me because I chose to surround myself with people who are doers, go getters, people who are lead to inspire and lead to help other people. Like we all go through divorce. I mean, not all of us, but a lot of us. but that's part of my story. I mean, I had I immigrated to this country with my Russian husband who was abusive. Which is before my nonprofit company, I've never shared that to anybody. I mean, I took it as okay, I married the guy. Nobody forced me to marry him. It was my decision. So I got myself into this situation. I had to get myself out of there, right? So that was really one of the part of my untold story here in Canada, in Toronto. Which I thought, okay, I mean, how am I going to help people with that story? Really, I mean, I took it. Okay, I have to solve it. I have to be a great example for my son. So I build a financial plan. I build a plan how to get rid of my abusive husband, and here I am. It sounds simple, but it's 3 years of emotional and physical abuse, yelling and screaming. And it's okay if abusers, they yell at, I guess, at women, but they end up yelling at your kids. I mean, that's where the mothers like myself, I stepped up and I said, okay, no, that's okay, you're yelling at me. But I was clearly looking at my son who was developing fears and actually the disease. He started having allergies with asthma and all kind of health complications. And I realized, okay, this is, of course, because we're not having healthy family. So that was one of my kind of untold story, which I really didn't share for many years. I really didn't see the value of that. Said, okay, so we all go through some type of abuse in life, right? I mean, some people, they choose to step up and do something about it. Some people don't, and it's really people's choice. Would it help if I tell that story? Of course. Now I understand the importance of that and seeing the numbers of domestic violence, how important it is to share the story so other people can see themselves in my story.
It's that tender personal story that you share. And can you tell us a little bit? I mean, I know in a private conversation we spoke a little bit about your time in Russia. Are you able to speak to that today?
Yes, I'm able to speak about that today. Yes, yes, I can with a smile. See, now I speak about it with a smile. Yes, in Russia, it was one of the reasons why I came to Canada, because I dealt with not organized Russian mafia. It just was part of the history in Russia. With Gorbachev, if the people, your audience, I mean, it's back then, and we're talking about more than 35 years ago. Gorbachev allowed privatization that used to be USSR in Russia, and people, they could own their own businesses. I was one of the first one, and yes, I did share it with you. And again, I mean, nobody asked me to open the business. I was in my last year of university, and it was part of my DNA. I was educated. I traveled the world. My parents, my father actually ran like Air Canada, Airflot. It's a big airline, a Russian airline, and I used to travel all over the world. I speak different languages, and I had a lot of knowledge and practical experience in my head. I was in Moscow University studying economics in my last year, and when it happened, I naturally, again, naturally, when it happened, when they announced it at 4:00 in the morning, I couldn't sleep. When they announced it at 4:00 in the morning, I was in front of a government building to sign my papers. It was very
My
cold.
Goodness.
So
You were
that's
eager
what
to
happened.
get started.
Yes, but it's part of the history. It's very interesting because talking about not organized mafia, people were just wondering, oh, I see those people in movies. So this is not a joke. I mean, what people see in movies, yes, they look scary, but in a real life, obviously, when you experience it yourself, and what I've experienced, I've never seen in any one movies that produced by Hollywood. So your audience understands. And the reason why not organized mafia, probably people know when we open the companies without competition, you have an opportunity to make big money fast. And that's what happened not to only my business, to the business people in Russia who were pioneers. They were first on the market. Obviously, people who
Mhm.
take the risk, those people, they drink the champagne, we call it in
Mhm.
Russia. And that's what
Mhm.
happened. In
Mhm.
a year and a half, we had so much money that we didn't know what to do with that. So we really
Right.
didn't have the banking system. We had boxes and boxes of money, but we earned that money. We had a great product. We
Mhm.
hired a lot of
Mhm.
people. We had distribution all over Russia with our product. But with that money, we realized quickly that we need people who protect us. So we hired those
Mhm.
people, but that's what we call organized mafia. We just
Mhm.
pay 20% of
Mhm.
people who look after our safety. This is fair.
Mhm.
That's what
Mhm.
happens today in many countries, including Russia. Today we have organized mafia, not
Mhm.
organized mafia. It's a mafia with criminal activities, and it's
Mm.
not organized, meaning you have the group of people who you pay, they protect you, and then
Mhm.
tomorrow there's another group comes and they say, oh, no, that's okay, they protect you, we protect you too, give us another 20%, right?
Oh, right.
And then
Mhm.
next week another group comes, they want another 20%.
So there's like multiple groups.
That's right,
Uh,
right. Because I
mhm.
mean,
Mhm.
I mean, there are always people would be in the world who are, don't want to work; they just want to take money and hold a weapon,
Mhm.
right? So
Right.
there's a lot of people who desire to do that. You can call them
Wow.
whatever you want to call them, but
Mhm. Mhm.
it's just part of the economy, which is okay. I would be perfectly cool to pay 20%, 30%, but when people start asking you more than you make, then it starts
Right.
being a problem, right? So you cannot really, it's a conflict. So it became the conflict till I heard those words that made me decide to leave the country. So I heard those words that I have my son and I have to watch my son. So that was actually a
Mm.
decision why I came to Canada. I'm very grateful
Mhm.
that I'm here. Um, and those crazy criminal activities, including me watching torture of my own team who were looking after the safety of my business, uh, that really, I mean, I didn't really know what's mental health challenge. I mean, back then, I mean,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, it was a disaster. I mean, can I describe you in details? How did I feel?
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes. Please describe.
yeah, it's definitely not what you watch on TV. I mean, once you experience it, it's the same when you watch on TV and the children dying from starvation and malnutrition, right? And
Mhm.
you pay said, okay, let me help that child. So you pull your phone and you will start feeding those kids, right? You're helping. I mean, do you feel good? Yes.
Right.
By far, it's a huge difference when you actually go there. And I had a privilege to work with those kids and build villages in Malawi, Africa, and hold those kids
Right.
who die from starvation and malnutrition. So that's the
Right.
same experience, right? So when you see that somewhere on a screen, or when you actually see people throwing hot irons on people's skin, on their tummies. I
Wow.
mean, once you have this experience, you're
Mhm.
so that's why when I came to Canada and I did share with you, to me, challenges is only an opportunity to grow and to do good. Because once you
Mhm.
experience extreme trauma, it wasn't
Mhm.
on me, but I had to watch that. It was part of the torture, right?
Well, it's what you witnessed, right? So you witnessed a lot of traumatic incidents, from what it seems like. So that would definitely take a toll on your mental well-being, for sure.
Um, you know what? Back then, I mean, I don't even. I mean, I'm from the country where Salima, where our grandparents, both my grandparents, died in the Second World War.
Mhm.
So trauma is part of the Russian culture. It's probably like a lot of
Right.
people's, a lot of countries around the world. I mean, we're so privileged in Canada to live the life of peace and kindness, opportunities. We have free libraries. We have enough shoes and food for everybody. It's not what the world is today, and it's not where it used to be. And we still have I mean, where we are today in the world. That's my message always to anybody who lives in Toronto. If you today getting up in the morning, if you're bored, you better not to be. Because if you have a conversation with me, I'll put you in action right away. There's so much to do in the world, Salim, and you know that. I mean, I won't even put numbers here from North America, even though the numbers on mental health, on juvenile suicide after COVID. I mean, part of my membership in my organization, we feed indigenous children with high nutrient-based food. That's part of my membership. And each and every fourth child here in Canada, they already have juvenile diabetes. Do we have a lot of work to do?
We have lots of work to do.
Absolutely. And I feel like that we owe to ourselves here in this country to wake up in the morning and do enormous amount of work to make a difference, because we can. Because most of the women around the world, they don't have basic human rights. Right? And I mean, each and every 10 seconds, the child dies from starvation and malnutrition. I mean, do we have a lot of work to do? So, yeah, so that's why I looked at everything. Okay, how much good we can do. I constantly focus on solutions, and I happen to be a business person, and business is about creating solutions.
So while you constantly focused on solutions, and we're very much raised with trauma being the norm, I don't know. Can you tell me, even though trauma was the norm, and there was definitely lots of torture that you witnessed, did you ever feel prepared for what was coming, or was it still a surprise?
In Russia, no. It was something new in the history. We've never experienced that. We've experienced war. Not myself personally, but my parents, they were born in years of Second World War. My grandparents served Second World War, but it's in our culture, right? I mean, we celebrate that. We celebrate that we're alive. We're grateful for our soldiers and for the people who did fight for our freedom. But was I prepared for mafia activities? Absolutely not, because that was something new for us. But I mean, is it, are you saying, do I feel I feel overwhelmed very often.
I'm so curious about the beginning of your time in Canada. You've been able to share and express all of the impact and all of your momentum and drive and ability to power through to really transform situations of unimaginable sort of levels. But I'm curious about what it was like when you first came to Canada. Could you speak English? Where did you stay? How did you start? What did that look like? How did you adjust with the culture?
Oh, it was tough because once you don't speak the language, and especially when you're already intelligent and you accomplish success in your own country. I didn't come from poverty. Obviously, I have a lot of intelligence. I have already experience. I had already at that time, even though I was young, I had from the young age very strong leadership skills, right, and mental toughness. I always had it, and it's tough when you cannot express yourself, right? Because anything moving forward requires communication. I didn't have mentors back then. They didn't really exist, because when I came to this country, I did clearly see that people, they go to their own communities. Chinese go to Chinese, Russians, they go to Russians. And then when I landed in Russian community, I did last there only 3 days. When I looked around, I talked to people, I realized, I mean, it's like in Russia. I mean, people in Moscow have more intelligent conversations. I mean, it didn't make sense to me. I didn't really feel like Canada. So I lasted in Russianville for 3 days. I left. I said to myself, in order for me to speak the language, I actually have to speak the language. So I left downtown Toronto. I remember my first, Peter was my son. He was 6 years old when we arrived. and I started going to, I went to the school. I didn't really help me. Maybe today schools are more comprehensive, but back then schools they were again it's the same. I went to school, then we read and write from newspaper, translate from newspaper, and then at the breaks when actually people they practice, I find that people they separate. I mean, Chinese go speak with Chinese on Chinese. Russians, they
Right.
go speak with Russians in Russian. I said, okay, I'll never learn English like that. So that's why I
Right.
moved myself right away to downtown Toronto. I surrounded myself with people who only spoke English or other
Mhm.
languages. So together we could speak English, right? And my first conversations, they were really at the playgrounds of downtown Toronto when my son was playing, and I couldn't, and I had to find few words how to express myself to all those mothers on the playground.
Right. Right.
So you put
Right.
yourself in uncomfortable situation again
Yes.
from the coaching
Mhm.
world, from anything moving forward. You always, in order to learn something, it's going to be not comfortable. So
Mhm. Yeah.
I guess that's always the basic of anything. But my compliments would be to my parents. My dad is a very strong leader. He taught me from the young age to consistently move forward, to solve
Mhm.
problems
Mhm.
and move forward. Happiness to me is progress by helping other people.
Right.
That's really definition of happiness to me. That's what I live and enjoy now each and every day. But again, back when I came to this country, it was very difficult. And again, I had abuse in the family when I
Mhm.
um, when I wanted to go look for job. I mean, I was good with people saying no to me. Obviously,
Mhm.
English is I could
Mhm.
really express myself. But I mean, what was killing me, Salima, it's coming back home, and my ex-husband today, obviously, he was
Mhm.
yelling at me. Where are you going? Why did you go look for that job? Who the hell are you? You don't even speak the language. Sit at home and cook your dinner. I mean, that
Right.
killing of my spirit. And I said
Mhm.
to myself back then, there's no way.
Mm, mhm.
I'm going to
Yeah.
figure it out, and I'm
That
going to
takes a
get
toll.
myself to that
Yeah.
level that
Yeah.
nobody would talk to me like that, right? Because in
Right.
Russia it was different.
Yeah.
First of all, that's okay in many countries to yell at women, not in
Mhm.
Canada, and I learned it very quickly,
Yeah.
right? Probably from the first week of my first conversations with ladies at the playground. They,
Mhm.
because we love this aspect of Canada of human rights.
Mhm.
I mean, that was difficult because you bring that culture to this
Mhm.
culture. And that
Mhm.
culture, and it applies for many other cultures, right?
Right.
It's not respected to women.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that was actually probably very difficult. That's why divorces they're very painful because it's a shift of the culture, and you work very hard to make the relationship work. You always, I mean, in my Slavic background, I'm Slavic Orthodox. I mean, it's not good to have the divorce. I mean, we're all
Mhm.
people, right? It's always the way
Mhm.
to build bridges versus
Right.
have fights, right?
Right.
And people are
Right.
people. We are friends. We are partners. We are here all to do good, to raise kids, to enjoy life. I think this part was very difficult, and I think it's difficult for many for immigrants coming to this country because. Some of them they need to fight like I did. And I can tell you
Mhm.
from the experience, Salima, I was the minority. When I
Right.
did fight and I divorced my husband, I found
Mhm.
myself that I'm very, very minority. I looked
Mhm.
around and I realized that most of the people they live like that and they settled. They were okay
Mhm.
with that.
Right.
And this is
But you
another
pushed
part which
through.
is very difficult.
But it was a big lesson in learning for you, right? And how much impact that had. It was a really big reminder. It's a reminder for you now.
It's that's why I open up a nonprofit because once I climbed that ladder, once I got everything I wanted, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Then you're, I mean, how much good can I do, right? And that's why
Mhm.
one of the things I do it's a nonprofit. It's Immigrant Women in Business because it's the power of that story. At least that's what I said to myself, because after 20 years living in Canada, I looked at a lot of my immigrants friends, and I simply realized that they settled or they gave up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So at least I said to myself, looking at the mirror, yeah, I can sell, I can do this, and that. Those people that are talking about selling and leadership, they cannot even connect to that. I mean, they're
Right.
confused, they're abused, they're misled, and it's simply because they don't have the right network supporting them, who instead of
Right.
misleading, where they would lead them for positive and for the solutions, would help them to develop the certain habits. So that's why you see that I always done a lot of networking at that immigrant women in business at my nonprofit. I do a lot of networking because that power of people around you who positive minded, who chose not to settle, who think
Mm-hmm.
big. I mean, maybe it sounds, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, I would listen what I get to say, and I would probably say, oh, this lady, how does she sound like that? But it's really, that's what it is. I mean, we
Right.
choose our network. We need to choose to fight. We need to choose to bring great people into your life. And it has nothing to do sitting at home. They're not going to knock at your door. Hello,
Yeah.
I'm the good person. I'm the person of value. I have a lot of resources. Can you please open the door? I'll help you to change your life. No, it doesn't
Right.
work
You have
like
to go
that.
and find it.
No,
You have to go and find it.
no.
I get your message. So I want to ask you, sometimes, Svetlana, like when people come to see me for therapy in the therapy room, individuals are typically in one of three places. Sometimes they're getting started with their journey, trying to figure out how to unpack and sort through it. Some people are in the middle, like navigating, trying to figure out how to make sense and how to move through all of the various layers and different parts. And then there's people who are looking back, either trying to make closure, tie up ends, or figure out a way to be content to move forward. What part of the journey would you say that you're in? Would you say you're getting started in the middle or looking back?
I always only moving forward for bigger and better solutions. That's where my head is. More collaborative approach with other businesses and organizations to create a bigger positive impact. I mean, in the past, I don't look in the past. We learn from the past,
Mm-hmm.
and we live today,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll look in the future. We build the future. I focus each and every day to build a future bigger and better, not for me, I'm good, for other people. How can I
Mm-hmm.
create more collaborative, transparent, sustainable business models? How I can bring more leaders, grow more female leaders, especially female leaders is my
Right.
passion today. So we can bring that change to their places of where they live, to
Mm-hmm.
their communities and to the world, because it's really the power of leadership. So
Right.
whatever you described, like in the past,
Yeah, like what I think I'm hearing you say is that you are looking back because you are connecting with your past and you've worked the process, you've journeyed through. And so you take those learnings and you move forward and that you're now in a plentiful way trying to give it back into the community. I think that,
yes, if you asked
yeah,
me 6 years ago, it wouldn't be the conversation, because I would have
right.
only business head on
Mm-hmm.
me. I would always
Mm-hmm.
be doing good. All of my businesses I do good, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
very business minded. Right.
Right.
So 6 years ago, when I came out from retirement, and 3 years
Yeah.
ago when I started nonprofit, then I kind of got back on my knees to the
Right.
community, because
Right.
I can talk about growing leaders and business models, but really the majority of the people, they cannot connect to that. I really wanted to connect to them, and exactly what you're doing today, really, to bring. Now I have more than 200 women like me, 10 times better than me in all different ways, who do the same. They
Mm-hmm.
share the story, they understand the
Mm-hmm.
importance of that, because
Right.
people, and it's interesting, because I mean, we've been around now for 3+ years, and people, they come to me, oh, you know what? I attended one of your events, and you know what? You changed my life. I don't even know who they are. but it's
Right.
so beautiful to hear.
Yeah, it's definitely beautiful to hear, and that's you being a change maker, making social
It's
impact right
absolute, and
there.
sometimes you see
Social
those
impact.
people sitting at the back of the room. They don't say
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
They come
But they
again because
come.
people they get screwed in life. I get it. They
Yeah,
get screwed in other
yeah.
countries. They get screwed in this little country. I get it. There's a lot of unethical people. So people they don't want
Mm,
to be hurt, right? I mean, they want to get out.
right.
And I did clearly see when we opened that nonprofit, people they would come and they wouldn't come forward to talk to me. And I understand that I
Mm.
can be, very passionate and very strong, right? But I mean, it's
Right.
interesting because after
Hmm.
3, 4, 5 times, they'll come to me and they say, you know what? I really like what I thank you for doing this. I really had a dream to open my own business, and I think that your organization can help me. I mean, this
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
beautiful. You see,
Yeah,
it takes
yeah,
consistency. We
yeah.
always talk about
Consistency.
it, and we see it in solopreneurship. Often people they open something, and it's consistent effort over time. No matter what you want to accomplish in life, you want a better husband, consistent effort over time.
Hmm.
You want to raise quality kids. It's not here and there. It's not here. It's each and
Hmm.
every day communication.
Right.
Each and every day doing something to plant that seed. But I'm talking about every day, and like literally every day. I think.
Right. So let's zone in on what your key message would be to the listeners of the show. What are the key points that you want people to know?
Surround yourself with positive people only.
Hmm.
Big dreams. When you have the dreams, it
Hmm.
might sound scary, but dreams and big dreams. When
Hmm.
people, from my experience in any business or any coach, any wise human being who've lived the life, I mean, I can tell you from experience, having the small goal or the big goal, it takes the same amount of effort. Big goals,
Hmm.
they excite you, right?
Hmm.
I mean, surround yourself with positive people, never
Hmm.
give up on your dreams, never
Hmm.
settle, and lead with tremendous love to people. Once you learn how to love anybody who comes your
Hmm.
way, everybody comes to this Mother Earth to do something fabulous, something
Hmm.
good for their children, for the humanity. The key message is surround yourself with only positive people and with the right network who would uplift, support, and inspire you.
Uplift, support, and inspire.
Yep.
So, what would be your message for people who are just immigrating into Canada? Do you have a special message for them?
Step up. Step up. My message: start your own initiatives, have a job, understand how the market works here. You gotta experience the corporate simply to understand the culture of professional
Hmm.
development, how Canadian, North American capitalism works, but at the same time, step up and open your own businesses, your own initiatives, anything to be engaged in making the world a better place. Because simply in the next 10, 20, 30 years, we live in an era of social impact. We're all coming together to make a difference. It makes all the
Hmm.
sense from all different directions. Whether you want to develop the product or the service that make positive contribution to the society, leaders, government, nonprofit, for-profit organization, they would come and support you in that journey. And we live today in a world of personal branding. Anything, act every day on doing something good.
Right.
Once people came to capitalistic world, I think the big role money play in our society, and being part of the business community, starting their own business. It'll help immigrants, like it helped myself, and it helps anybody to learn more, to
Right.
take risk,
Mhm.
and this is what would be my advice: to do both.
Thank
Especially
you.
when you come here, I know that a lot of young people they call now millennials from the age of 20, 25. Once you don't have
Hmm.
kids, go do it. You can do it. You don't need to sleep 10 hours. You can
Right.
live with 4 or 5. It's fine, but do both. And you'll be surprised. People will be surprised. Any immigrants would be surprised what the power of leadership can do. Because once we see
Right.
that people that are stepping up in this country, we open up enormous amount of resources. It's just a matter of time. Those people, they will become financially free. I can tell you from the experience. And this
Right.
is a fabulous feeling. That's where you can
Mm-hmm.
travel the world.
Right.
You don't need to look at the price of the menu, but the most important with financial freedom, you get an
Right.
opportunity to help a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Well, these are very, very helpful words. I know this will help so many of the listeners. So, Svetlana, I'm curious, what was a game-changing piece of inspiration that's close to you that would reflect your untold story? Would there be like a quote or a mantra or a book or a person or event or something that really was like pivotal for you?
I have a lot of mentors.
Mm-hmm.
Really, my first business in Canada, we didn't really have internet, right? So we had to do the traditional manufacturing and distribution. So I had a lot of audiobooks that I used to listen. But my favorite would be the famous Nike slogan, just do it. At the end of the
Okay.
day, leadership and anything else, you can call it whatever you want to do. Just get it
Mm-hmm.
done. Just do
Okay.
it.
Yep. Just do it. You're going to borrow the Nike slogan.
Yes, I
That's
will.
great.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you,
perfect.
Phil Nike.
Yes. So tell me, what's a cause or organization that has been impactful to you on your journey that you'd like to give a shout out to?
My shout out is to my husband. He is somebody who, in action, created the wealth and chose with that wealth to create different business models based on transparency and sustainability to make a difference.
Hmm.
So this
Right.
gentleman is Stephen Clark, and my shout out is to him.
Wow. Shout out to Stephen Clark. Wonderful.
And of course, my son, he is my inspiration.
Wonderful. So how can people connect with you if they would like to? How are you findable?
LinkedIn is the best.
Okay.
Svetlana Ratnikova. I kept my Russian name, so I'll be one and
Okay.
only one in Canada, in
Okay.
Toronto. Svetlana Ratnikova. And immigrant women in business hashtag is everywhere on social media. And of course, my for-profit company that is doing incredible things. Hashtag RTG Group Inc.
Well, we'll grab your links and we'll have them on the show notes so that people can click and find.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Selena.
Amazing. So Svetlana, guess what?
What?
You've just dared yourself to share. Congratulations, my
Oh,
dear.
thank you, Sally.
I'm so thankful for your willingness to be part of this podcast, Svetlana. And the fact that you shared with so much insight, depth, rawness, and you shared so much heart and genuineness. I really, really enjoyed this conversation. And I also very much admire your resilience, your energy, passion in what you've worked through and cultivated up to the present day. It's been so refreshing to hear. So thank you for the deep conversation and for all your sharing.
Salima, God bless you, and lots of love to you. I look forward to meet you and, create incredible positive impact in Canada and in our community and in the world. And we can do it.
That sounds lovely. And once again, Svetlana, thank you for being part of Dare to Share Your Untold Story and helping to be a voice in breaking down the barriers of mental stigma. To all of our listeners, if you like what you've been hearing on this podcast and you want to be part of breaking down barriers of mental stigma, I invite you to go wherever you are listening to the episode and hit subscribe. Leave us a comment or a review of the episode and maybe how you relate to it. To learn more about what we offer, visit www.daretoheal.co. And if you are feeling ready and brave to share, please submit your story by visiting www.daretoshare.co. Thanks for joining in.